Hey guys, it's Tuesday. It's me, Gina, and I'm gonna get started right off the bat with my film review for the week.
There's a place for us movies, you just gotta lay around.
My film for this week is a documentary, one of my favorite documentaries I've ever watched about the Beatles, and that's definitely saying something because I've watched plenty. The US Versus John Lennon. One of my favorite documentaries of all time. Not just Beatles documentaries, it's one of my favorite documentaries, period. It takes this whole view of John's years in the United States and shows you lots of things that people probably didn't know were going on. I am an American. I'm very, patriotic and all that good stuff. But when you watch this film, you kind of cringe and you're like, oh, why did we do that? They're busting up records and there it goes. They're burning stuff and throwing everything away when they had to buy it first. That's so stupid. Oh well. See, I'm gonna get carried away. I shouldn't have shown this one behind me while I'm trying to talk to you about it because I'll end up just watching it again because I love it. Even when it's muted, I'm like, ugh. There he is, look at him. We all have a right, He says something like that. Sort of takes the whole view that the United States government, especially the Nixon administration, was sort of pushing to get John kicked out of the country. Which absolutely happened. The FBI had a file on John, and last I heard, there's still parts of it they have never shown publicly. Parts of it went public, but all of it has never gone public. Makes you wonder what exactly they were doing. They were phone tapping John, they were following John, they were hip to all that he was doing because they saw him as a threat, really. They saw that he had a lot of sway to the general public, especially the youth, which were earning their voting rights at the time John was kind of fighting to be a United States citizen. And if he could sway them to vote this or that way, the United States government wasn't happy about all of that. And this documentary really takes you into that whole atmosphere of the Vietnam War, the late 60s, early 70s, all of that stuff. This documentary doesn't just cover things about John. It shows you, look, war. It shows you what the people were feeling back then and how John walked into this whole, someone they're interviewing puts it, he walked into this cauldron of political fire and he got, look at that, it's awful. It's awful. See, I told you. I told you I'd end up just watching the video. I can't look. I'm not allowed to look anymore. I can still see it in the little screen. This is bad. There she is! Oh, it's Yoko. I got excited. She's so beautiful and amazing and... Whoa, I just moved the camera. Oh, Yoko. Sorry, I love her. Things that he went through in the later years of his life, which most Beatles fans like to ignore because they don't like the whole Yoko aspect of his later life. But just see what it was about. You can't love John and only love Beatle John because that's not who he was. I mean, that was kind of, I think, a caricature aspect of John's personality when he was a Beatle. I don't think John was ever truly John in public until this time. Until he had this beautiful, amazing woman right here showing him how to be who he should have always been. I mean, that's just my point of view on it. Alright, so here is my London Liverpool memorabilia piece of the week. From the bus terminal in the city center in Liverpool. And we had to go in and get bus passes for a couple days. And actually, I have the bus pass with me because it's kind of cool looking. It kind of looks like a lottery ticket. The Beatles related thing I got from the bus terminal in the city center in Liverpool is this cool little brochure. How to get to the Beatles attractions in Merseyside. And it has this cool little drawing of the Beatles. Like next to Paul I wrote woman. Or woman actually, because Paul's a woman, come on. And then next to George I wrote a song about the sun. Because he did. And then next to John, I wrote manly man, grrr, roar. Because John's like the manliest man ever. And then underneath Ringo, I wrote replaced Pete Best. Silly, silly. Then inside, it has about 20 locations listed out. And the ones I circled are the ones we went to. First, it starts out at the Beatles Story, which is the big Beatles Museum on the Albert Dock in Liverpool. It's really cool. If you go to Liverpool and you don't have much money to spend and you have to pick and choose what you do, I would do the Beatles Story. And the Beatles Story gift shop is awesome. Definitely check out the Beatles Story gift shop because it's cool. And then the second place they tell you about is Matthew Street and the Cavern Quarter. And Matthew Street, of course, is where the Cavern Club is, the Cavern Pub, Cavern Wall of Fame, and the John Lennon statue. And all of those are in Matthew Street. The Cavern Pub is not the Cavern Club. They're two different things, but it's right across the street from the Cavern Club. And then the John Lennon statue is just that. It's a statue of John Lennon right outside the Cavern Pub. And then the next thing they list is the Cavern Club. If you don't know what the Cavern Club is, what are you doing? What are you doing watching these videos? No. The Cavern Club is just a place where the Beatles played over like 200 times, I think. And the original Cavern Club is not there, but they built an exact replica using materials from the original Cavern Club to build the one that you can actually go in today. And it's right next door to where the original one is the Cavern Walks and Eleanor Rigby statue. And the Cavern Walks is a shopping center designed by Cynthia Lennon. Sorry, I'm allergic to that name. I'm just kidding. Everyone can bash on Yoko and it's cool, so I can bash on Cynthia if I want. What? Say something. Say something. Anyway, the shopping center is actually pretty cool. I'll give her that. It has a cool restaurant called Lucy in the Sky. And right outside that restaurant called Lucy in the Sky is a statue of all four Beatles playing like they're playing at the Cavern Club. The Eleanor Rigby statue, which is listed on here, we could not find. It was the Casbah Club. And it's not because we hate Pete Best. It might have been like 60% of why we didn't go, but the other 40% was because they didn't give tours on the one day we were free to go, so. The Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts is on here. And it used to be just the Liverpool Institute, and that's where Paul and George went to school. So if you want a guaranteed meeting of Paul McCartney, go to that school, pay the outrageous fees to go to that school, and when you graduate, he'll hand you your graduation certificate. Then they have, of course, Penny Lane. And we spent so much time on Penny Lane, but there's not really much there, to be completely honest. The roundabout is there. The barbershop is still there, and it's still a barbershop. And the bank on the corner is still there, and it's still a bank. But as for things to see and do on Penny Lane, not much there. Ooh. Dovedale Road Primary School is listed, and I didn't circle it, but we did go there. That's where John and George went to infant school, but not at the same time, obviously, because there's an age difference there. Strawberry Field is listed on here. And that, of course, is, you know what Strawberry Fields is. But it's really cool to actually go there, even though it's all overgrown. But it's, you know, you can take pictures there and write your name on the bricks and stuff, which is pretty cool. And we went there, I think, twice, maybe 3 times. St. Peter's Church is listed. John was a member of St. Peter's Church. And the annex to the St. Peter's Church, which is across the road and behind another building, so you kind of have to know where you're going to find it, is where John and Paul met at the Woolton Village Fete. But you already knew that. Mendips is listed on here. If you ever get to go there, I can't really explain it because it's sort of a feeling you get when you go to Mendips. It's not necessarily the spirit of John Lennon, but you just feel good. And the last thing is 24th Lynn Road, which is where Paul McCartney grew up. But you already knew that from a previous video that I did. This map, which sort of looks, you know, pretty simplistic, was probably the most helpful we had the whole time we were there. If you go to Liverpool, beware Allerton Road. it's not always the same road you thought you were on when you got lost 4 hours earlier. That was my London Liverpool memorabilia for this week. The little Beatles guide you can get at the bus terminal in the city centre in Liverpool. Yay!